So yeah, I think that's better if we can do the Croup because it's also very high yield topic. So what is the Croup? This. So what is the Croup, doctors? We call it laryngotracheal bronchitis, right? Another name is laryngotracheal bronchitis. Here, so what is Croup? Croup is inflammation of the upper airway, larynx, and trachea, usually triggered by virus, most commonly by parainfluenza, as well as other respiratory viruses. Oh, sorry, I was just reading and without sharing the here. Okay, doctor, this is also from RCH. Okay, croup is inflammation of the upper airway, larynx, and trachea, usually triggered by virus, most commonly parainfluenza, as well as other respiratory virus, including COVID-19. Occurs generally between age 6 months to 6 years. So you can remember it as 6, okay? 6 or 66, 6 months and 6 years. Often worse at night. So assessment, children with croup should have focused examination so as not to upset them further. We should never irritate croup child, right? We should never irritate. Then throat examination is rarely required. Keep child with carer and involve the carer in assisting with the examination. Right? This child are very irritable and we should not irritate this child because the child is presenting with croup, right? Yeah. So history, risk factors for severe croup include history of previous severe croups, pre-exciting narrowing of upper airway, reduced airway tone due to pre-exciting conditions like trisomy 21, neuromuscular conditions, younger age, uncommon in under 6 months and or 6 month old, rare in under 3 months old. Consider, you can remember it's usually between 6 months to 6 years. So, what are the symptoms that we can see in here? We can see the barking cough, right? Barking cough, and we can hear the stridor. And hoarse voice or cry may have associated widespread wheeze. Increased work of breathing may have fever, but no signs of toxicity, right? So, and here also we have to divide these patients according to their severity. We have mild croup, moderate croup, severe croup, and life-threatening croup, right? We have these four types of croup according to what? According to their unit. So, according to their severity. So, what are the features in mild croup? So, appearance. Here we go through down. First, mild one. Appearance is normal, well perfused. Behavior alert and active. Stridor, no stridor, or only when active or upset. Usually, there's no stridor in mild cases, but when the this child get stressed or child get irritated, we can see some small stridor. Respiratory rate normal, accessory muscle normal, oxygen saturation normal. Here, like in mild cases, even you remember pneumonia, asthma, usually like mild cases, like everything is normal, but little bit elevation in some kind of things, but almost always normal. So moderate cases, the appearance, color, everything is normal, well perfused. So, behavior alert, active, intermediate, mild agitation can be seen because this child is very hard to breathe, right? So, child is little bit irritated. So, stridor, intermediate at rest. In this case, we can see the stridor. Even the child is having rest, right? Croup, intermediate croup at the rest. Okay, so next one. So respiratory rate increased, accessory muscle use increased, usually intercostal and subcostal recession can be seen, and tracheal tuck can be seen. Oxygen saturation still normal. Then severe one. The child is pale, low perfusion, increased agitation, drowsiness, child is very irritated, right? And here stridor is persistent at rest or biphasic. So respiratory rate mark increase or decrease. Respiratory rate can be increased or decreased. Accessory muscle use, abdominal breathing can be seen, marked intercostal and subcostal recession. Tracheal drug, the child is very hard to breathe, right? He used the abdominal breathing as well. And marked intercostal and subcostal recession and tracheal tug also can be seen. And these patients are hypoxic. So life-threatening one, pale, mortal or cyanosed. Child is confused, drowsy, agitated, not moving, drooling. Hereby phasico may be soft rider. Respiratory rate is abnormal. Signs of impending respiratory exhaustion. Here they are using severe sternal recession and exhausted, poor respiratory effort, and the patient is always hypoxic. So severe and life-threatening are the a dangerous case, and mild is like not dangerous. It's okay. Moderate, like mildly elevated, everything you can manage it. So yeah, management investigation. It's a clinical investigation. It's a clinical investigation and indications such as respiratory swab or nasopharyngeal aspirate, X-ray, and blood tests are not indicated in typical presentation. Consider appropriate investigation if there is a concern differential diagnosis as above. Epiglottitis, bacterial tracheitis, respiratopharyngeal abscess, like that. Then treatment. The most important one is treatment. Okay, here. Minimize distress to avoid worsening symptoms. If we irritate the child, that can worsen the symptoms, right? So because of that, we always try to keep the child calm, right? Without irritating him. Then minimize interventions including examination, investigation that are not going to impact acute management. Keep the child with carer. We should keep the child with mother because that's the child's comfortable zone, right? The safe place. So we should keep there. Then child is not very irritated, like child is getting calmed down. Try to keep the environment quiet, moderate lighting. Children will adopt the position of comfort that minimize the airway obstruction. Do not change this. In like most cases, these children can be in tripod situation. Tripods it in stay in like a tripod, right? Why? Because of severe respiratory obstruction. So here we have to follow this chart. So this chart. So mild one. So you all know how mild appear. Consider no steroid if barking cough along. Then a history of stridor or risk factors. Consider dexamethasone or prednisolone. Oral, right? Oral. Then if it is moderate, dexamethasone or prednisolone. Oral. Oral and repeat the dose the following evening. We have to repeat the dose at the following evening. If the patient is having good response, discharge home once tried a free at rest. Then, if the patient is deteriorated, we have to treat as severe. So, severe cases, what we should give? Nebulized adrenaline here. Here is the place we are adding nebulized adrenaline. 5 milliliters of undiluted adrenaline, 1 to 1000, and dexamethasone. Nebulized adrenaline plus dexamethasone, we are giving. It can be IM, IV, or oral, like that. And if our patient is after moderate asthma and after all the treatment, this patient still deteriorating, then we have to go with nebulized adrenaline. Okay, like that here. Then, if the good response present, repeat adrenaline dose. If recurrence of severe respiratory distress, Consider discharge at 3 hours post adrenaline if stridor free at rest. So, anyway, to discharge, the patient should not have stridor anymore. Okay, so minimal or poor response, repeat the dose of adrenaline, consider alternative diagnosing, and we have to admit for the ICU. So life threatening one, immediate senior involvement, we need to refer this patient for the senior assessment. The nebulized adrenaline and oxygen, we have to add oxygen via rebreathable mask and dexamethasone, all three we are giving. So hope you understand it. Here, a period of observation of 3 hours is required after nebulized adrenaline to ensure the recurrence of symptoms. Consider long period of observation than 3 hours for child. Than 3 hours for child who present overnight, has limited access of medical care, present with stridor more than once during the same illness, and has risk factors for severe Croup. So if these patient present, we need like longer observation more than 3 hours. Yeah, doctor, that's all for stridor. Hope you understand it. Right? Okay, we'll try to do at least 2 questions from group as well. Okay. So 3-year-old boy present to the ED with 2-day history of barking cough and intermittent stridor at rest. He has no rigors or febrile episode. Parents report that he has been more irritable with reduced appetite. He has no significant medical history and take no recent sick contacts. His vaccinations are up to date. On examination, he appears anxious and there is harsh inspiratory noise with the suprasternal and intercostal retractions. Pulse 120, respiratory rate 25, BP 100 by 60, SpO2 96, and temperature 37.2. Which one of the following is most appropriate next step in management? What do you think? What do you think, doctors? Okay, let's check. Yeah, you are correct, right? This you have to give oral dexa. I like that. Let's check if there's any more good questions. Okay, yeah. One more thing you should know. What is the sign you can see in here? It's a very high yield sign. What's the sign you can see in here? Who can tell me? A steeple sign, right? Okay, here I'll show. Can you see something like, okay, not like that. Yeah. Can you see something like that in here? It- Yeah, that is a steeple sign. I'll show a good picture. Good, good. You remember it. Yeah. Can you see? Yeah, that's a better picture that I can show here. This is a steeple sign. So we'll do the teammates question and finish this. 6-year-old girl brought to the ED by her mother. 3-day history of hoarseness of voice and barking cough. Mother reports mild fever over the period of mild fever over this period but denies any drooling. The girl's medical history is unremarkable and she is up to date with her vaccination. On examination, she does not appear toxic and there is a mild increase work of breathing with audible stride. X-ray performed and show of the following. So we all know steeple sign. Which one of the following is most likely diagnosis? What is it? You all know, right? It's Croup, right? And doctor, usually we are not doing X-ray or the investigation for Croup because that can worsen the patient's situation. But if they have given it, you should know it's a steeple side. Okay, like that. So I think it's not very hard. So you can get an idea about by doing other three questions by yourself, right?